You deserve to be happy. And I don't mean the happiness that comes from a new car or a bigger paycheck, because that kind fades fast. I mean the happiness that shows up when you're doing exactly what you're hardwired to do. You know at the moment you feel it, that gut feeling that says, this is real. Maybe you've doubted it before, or didn't recognize it for what it was. Maybe somewhere along the way, you learned to talk yourself past that feeling, to treat it as something nice, but not something to build a life around. That's understandable. Most of us were taught to trust the externally visible markers instead, like the title on the business card, or the size of the house, or the approval of strangers on a social media post. Those things aren't wrong to want. They're just not the same thing as the genuine happiness I'm talking about, and chasing them instead of the real thing is exactly why so many people feel like something's missing, even when everything on paper looks right. Here's what I want you to consider. Your happiness has a shape, and that shape is already defined inside you. It's not something you have to invent or manufacture. It's something you already carry, and it shows up whether you're paying attention to it or not. For some of you, that happiness shows up in a room full of friends, or maybe in the kind of conversation you don't want to end. Maybe it's sharing a wonderful moment with others because you're all there experiencing it together. For some people, it shows up in the opposite place entirely, alone with a problem nobody else could crack, and the quiet satisfaction of finally seeing how the pieces fit together. Maybe it's the feeling of finishing something real, something you can point to and say, you built that with your own hands. And for others, it's the calm of knowing every detail has been addressed, nothing has been missed, and everything has been accounted for. None of these are better than the others. They're not competing versions of the same thing. They're different expressions of the same underlying truth, which is that a happiness isn't a single destination everyone is walking toward. It's personal, it's specific, and it's already written into how you're wired. That's the part worth thinking about for a second. You don't need to go find your happiness somewhere out there. You need to recognize it where it already lives, in the moments you've probably experienced many times in your life, but they didn't have a name because you didn't realize they were defined within you. Think about the last time you felt that gut-level rightness, even for a few minutes. Maybe it was small. Maybe it didn't come with an audience or some kind of external reward. That doesn't make it less real. Small and unwitnessed is still happiness. It's just happiness without the performance attached to it. Somewhere in your life, you've probably talked yourself out of trusting that feeling. You told yourself it was nice, but not important, not what you should be spending your time on. I'd ask you to reconsider that. What if that feeling wasn't the distraction from your life, but was the truest signal you have about what your life is supposed to include? This is where permission comes in, and I mean that literally. You have permission to want what you actually want, not what you were told to want. You have permission to build a life around the version of happiness that's true for you, even if it looks nothing like your neighbor's version, or your coworker's version, or the version that gets celebrated the loudest. Yours doesn't have to look like anyone else's to count. It just has to be true to how you are hardwired. That's not a small thing to hear, and you probably don't hear it enough. So let me say it again. You have permission to be happy. It's not permission you need to earn through more effort, more proof, or more evidence that you deserve it. It's permission you already have, right now, simply because this happiness was always yours to begin with. The journey toward that kind of happiness isn't a straight line, and it isn't the same path for everyone. But it starts in the same place for all of us, with actually trusting the feeling instead of overriding it. It starts with noticing when something feels quietly, unmistakably right, and letting that count for something instead of explaining it away. You are hardwired for a specific kind of happiness. It's not a generic kind of happiness or a borrowed one. It's yours. And the more you trust what already feels true, the more of it you'll find in places you'd stopped expecting to look.